Hey, this is the Inner Sleeve podcast, and this week we're talking about mental health in music, which is a frankly enormous subject that you cannot hope to do justice to in a 20-minute podcast. So rest assured, we will return to this subject in the near future. If you enjoy this podcast, please share it with your friends, share it with your mum, tell your mum's friends, and try and get them all to subscribe either to our newsletter or even to the label. That would be fantastic. All right, enjoy. Tell us what you think. See you soon. Mental health and music is the next thing, right?
Yeah.
Mental health in music. Yes.
Yeah, who wants to touch that one first?
Well, I don't mind starting that because I suggested it.
Okay.
So I'm quite happy to tick that off. So the reason I thought it would be good to talk about mental health in music, I mean, there's several reasons, right? One is I don't mind sharing my own experience, but it's up to others if they want to do the same. But over the last year, one of the reasons we're sitting here doing this podcast, re kind of kindling, or that will go further than rekindling, setting fire to and re-kickstarting the label is because not much has happened on the label for about a year, right? And a lot of that is, well, all of that actually is to do with things that are going on or have been going on in my personal life. So my youngest son, who's now 4.5, has been diagnosed with autism. There's been a lot of, he's non-verbal, he doesn't speak. There's been a lot of stress and back and forth and ongoing conversation with different professionals, trying to get him into the right sort of school and all of this sort of stuff. So all that going on. We've moved house during that period of time. My other son started secondary school, which, to be fair, it's gone really smoothly. However, there's a whole load of stuff that goes with that. Had various relatives with various illnesses and changes in lifestyle. Older relatives moving into care homes and things like that. And not one of those things could I pick and go, that's the reason that didn't do anything with lights and lines for most of the year. But I do think the collective consumption of, or the collective kind of personal time that's taken up thinking about, stressing about, worrying about, dealing with all of these things meant that I kind of physically kind of felt I'd burn out a little bit on the label. And actually, the reason I wanted to talk about that, and I know that you guys have also both had different personal challenges and whatever going on, but actually it's a much wider thing. And I think it's really important to shine a spotlight on it. I don't think I'm someone who particularly, certainly not regularly, suffers with mental health crisis or issues or whatever. But I certainly have over the last year. But I kind of think, and I've always thought, that there is something in being a musician and being someone who is creative, not just in music, where a lot of people are more prone to that sort of, not necessarily a mental health crisis, but challenges with mental health. Because I think what we find is it's our way of releasing and expressing ourselves and telling the world what's going on or whatever, while we kind of suffer inside. And there's all this, it's okay not to be okay and go and tell a friend or whatever. But how hard is it to fucking do that? Well, actually, really, really difficult. I've personally not had many conversations with even my own, obviously my close family where these issues are going on, but not even necessarily my own kind of extended family or friends or whatever, because it's difficult to go, oh, do you know what, I've been a bit shit recently because this has happened. Like, if you do get to go for a drink with a mate or whatever and they go, how are you? You go, yeah, right, I'm fine, yeah, how are you? And you want to escape and have a night out and have a couple of, have a drink or play some pool or do a pub quiz or whatever it is, right? It tells you a lot about my life. They're the only things I can think of that I do outside of work. But, you have those moments, or, I coach my son's football team. I don't go and, I'm good mates with the coaches and go, oh, I'm feeling a bit rubbish this week because of certain. Like, it's really hard to talk about. So the reason I suggested this as a topic is just to kind of, I'm quite happy to share my experience. We've all had experiences like that. But I do think it's important we are a community label. We are about, yes, we release music by artists that we choose to sign and promote and put out there. But we run events within the independent music community, and we want people to input do things and we set challenges and whatever and kind of get people involved in as many ways as we can. But actually, one of the things we could do is put more of a spotlight on mental health and offer more support. I don't necessarily know what that looks like or whatever at this stage, but certainly opening up and starting a conversation, talking about it, I personally feel is really important. So that's kind of that's the scene setter for this. I don't know where this conversation wants to go. I'll hand over to one of you guys to say your thoughts, but that's why I wanted to bring an episode of this into that space, really. So, I don't know who wants to go.
Sure, yeah. I'll go. It's
I thought there was like a conspicuous silence there where Grim and I were both like, if we'd been in a bar, we'd have been looking at each other going, is it
Yeah. Should we go over there? Should we go sit away
Grim, you do it.
Well, I mean, I was going to say, it's Mike, you have chosen. It's such a simple and easy to approach topic. We'll get this hashed out in the next. 30 seconds is all I need, and I'll solve everything.
No worries. We'll deal with that. Move on. Everyone will be fine.
Well, the thing about it is, I could go back. I could go back to talking about the fact that I'm coming up to 2 years sober here. I had a severe drinking problem, especially over the fucking over lockdown. I don't think any of us are still over lockdown at all. That's just something that's in us now. It's going to be something we're going to be dealing with for years because it was a fucking insane, huge, massive thing that we didn't even realize at the time. I think the fact that the label went sort of quiet last year is also that was everywhere. I think that was everywhere. I think everyone felt a little bit of what we all sort of experienced there in that. As we thought we had got everything together and we were trying to get back on our feet, suddenly we had last year was a whole fucking thing of just right now we don't know how to cope. None of us did. None of us knew exactly how to cope after everything that had gone on, everything that we'd been through, and we're still not coping. And a lot of that's fucking shameless plug. This shit. I am working on a lot of new music. I am about to bring out a lot of new music because I have some of it sitting ready to go, and a lot of it is literally just about how men are not okay. And no, I don't want to. Obviously, I don't. Women are not okay, but women have always had their struggles. They've always had their struggles, and I think women in general tend to be more resilient because of that, maybe. But at the moment, and very, very profoundly, everywhere I look, I just see men not being okay because for whatever reason that it is happening, and we are allowed to talk and we're encouraged to talk, but we as a society, we as a gender, we as we ourselves know, us three specifically, the age that we are, we know we weren't brought up with easily being able to talk about shit, being able to talk about what's going on. You weren't encouraged to do that. No, you swallow it and you fucking get on. You just do. You do. That's how you get over stuff. And we're allowed to now. But what the fuck does that look like? Nobody's telling us exactly what that looks like. To a lot of men, it seems to look like, anger at fucking everyone, anyone at all that they can point their finger at. A lot of men, it's this searching for identity or whatever, and but yeah, I think I think it is important that you brought this up because it's an important thing, and I genuinely I don't think things are going to get better for mental health in the coming couple of years. I think they will be better eventually, but I think things are going to get a little bit worse over the next couple of years. And I think it's for men specifically, and I think we're starting to see a bit of that. And I don't want to go into the politics side of it, but I think the elephant in the room is what I'm not saying is we're seeing it politically, because I think spearhead of all that shit that's going on, Andrew fucking Tate, Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson, for fuck's sake, an actual PhD in psychology, and he is making his elongated mental breakdown about anything but himself, and he's now inflicting it on young men. You know,
Mm.
Joe Rogan, Alex Jones. And I can't help but just feel sorry for these men because they're not right, and that's my view on the thing anyway.
I think it's interesting. You're right. So the message is it's okay to talk about it,
Yeah.
but there isn't. It sounds silly almost, but it's absolutely true. There's no guidance on how to
No.
do that. Like, I don't think it's ingrained naturally for us.
No,
Hey,
I've
we
been,
went to a conversation about your mental health today.
yeah, no,
Do you know what I mean? Like,
I've been to like 3 fucking different counselors over the last 2 years because from giving up drinking to try and fucking figure out shit, and they keep saying, "Oh, you have to practice self-compassion," and I'm just like, "You keep saying that, but you haven't told me what the fuck that's gonna. What does that look like? What does that
How?
mean?
Yeah.
How? What would that look like for me? Because I don't fucking know." And they're never able to actually tell me. They never say, "Well, this is what it would look like. This is how you would achieve that." But they keep saying the buzzwords. We fucking love a buzzword, don't we?
Yeah, there is that. There is that. This is such a huge subject, and I do think it is important that we've brought it up. And I mean, I'm someone who these days I considered myself to have fairly robust mental health out of everyone that I know and I'm close to.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But there are a lot of people very close to me who have had big mental health problems over the years, and I've been there for them through that. But part of the reason that I think I have my mental health is as robust in general as it is these days is because I am a fucking musician, right? And uh, music for me has always been about this is the safe space, right? This is the place where I play out all of my thought experiments and neuroses and you know, crises of confidence and existential angst and woe, and do you know what I mean? Like and try and somehow twist all that around into something that's relatable and somehow cathartic and maybe even positive. Do you know what I mean? And I often say, like, without music, I genuinely don't know who I would be. And I think that is because music encompasses, to me, the ultimate outlet for my all of the shit that goes on in my head. And there is a lot of it. And I'm can only speak for myself, but I'm one of those people who I have a very deep, rich internal life. I'm quite at home in my own company, and there is a part of me, a side of my character that absolutely just wants to hide away all the time and be quite happy, sat back from the rest of society, just living my own way, and hiding away, really. And then there's the other part of me, which is the total extrovert that loves nothing more than being the center of attention and playing up in front of people and and entertaining everybody and having all eyes upon me. And so the sort of like there's a dichotomy there, isn't there? And there's one of those sides of my character, it seems, can't exist without the other, and that creates tension sometimes. And sometimes I feel like both those sides of my character are at war with one another and pulling me in different directions. And you never feel like you're doing the right thing, and do you know what I mean? Like all of this kind of stuff. So, I think that going back to what you're saying about men, there are initiatives. It is some people are very emotional these days, and I don't know how you guys feel, but the people in the generations behind me certainly seem a lot more willing to talk about their struggles, right? Um, and what Grim was saying about how we grew up, yeah, we were told just to kind of swallow things down and get on with it, right? And that bred a certain kind of resilience, but eventually that resilience wears off and you have to confront all those things that you've swallowed down, right? And people do that in very different ways.
Mm.
And a lot of mechanisms for confronting that stuff aren't healthy, are they? Because you drink or you do drugs or whatever. And I think that I don't know, like it's very easy to come off the rails mentally, and it's arguably easier than it's ever been to come off the rails because one of the things that we've got now is these devices in our pockets that we can look at any time that instantly pull us in 100 different directions.
Mm.
You know, go on TikTok or YouTube or whatever, watch any video feed, and you can experience 12 different emotions in the first 2 minutes, because there's so much vying for your attention, and all of that creates a kind of a chaos in people's minds where you can, it's so hard to simplify things down now and boil down to how do I really feel, like on a base level, like right at my core, how do I really feel in this moment. And you can lose touch with yourself because there's so much distraction. And I think that is how so many people get through their day these days, is they distract themselves, right? And there's more distractions than ever, baby, more distractions than ever, and not a lot of them are healthy. So
I think arguably a lot of them make it worse, right? So my
yeah, they
older
exacerbate
son,
how you feel.
my older son is now 13, and he said to me, I mean, he's pretty sensible. I just got his head screwed on, but he said to me the other day, Dad, I heard that World War III's on the way. I was like, oh, really? Where'd you hear that? He said, oh, my mate's talking about it. Apparently, such and such is happening and blah, blah. I was like, where did your mates get that information from, mate? And he went, well, I was like,
Al
was it
Jazeera.
TikTok videos? I was like, do you think it was TikTok videos? He goes, well, yeah, probably. Yeah, I was like, look, there's a lesson in here about, there's two lessons in here. One is you cannot believe everything that anyone says, whether it's a person you know or whether it's a person online or whatever, because you don't know where the information is from. And this was literally World War II starting tomorrow. This wasn't a general, oh, we're on the brink of World War III because Trump's in power and everything's shit. This was kind of like there's going to be a nuclear bomb tomorrow or whatever kind of conversation that he was having. I was like, no, mate, there's nothing. Look, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we won't be here tomorrow to talk about it. But there's nothing, no evidence anywhere on any credible source to suggest that this is a thing. But this is how people get attention, and people crave that attention, and some people earn money out of that attention, and that's what they do and what happens. And then the second kind of, so one is don't believe everything anyone says, but I said that the second kind of lesson in there is we have to understand is that the reason that these things are so popular and people jump on them is because there's a certain element of I don't want to say truth, right? But there's a certain element of
Plausibility,
plausibility to
Yeah,
these things, right? And I
yeah.
said to him, I was like, you're 13, you can read the news, you can watch the but whether or not you choose to engage with that, but I'll tell you now, there's a war on over here, there's a president that's been elected here, there's something else of it, there's stuff going on, and people are worried. But we have to remember is that worry is amplified enormously by people panicking on the internet. Whereas in reality, I'm not saying nothing will ever happen and things won't change, but we are not going to wake up tomorrow. There's no indication that we're going to wake up tomorrow and be in the midst of a nuclear war. That's people's, but this is the thing, and I guess thinking about the original point is, the things that we use to escape reality and not have to think about things are also incredibly damaging for our mental health.
The irony.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
like the reason I haven't spent anywhere near as much time on social media as I used to is because once Twitter was bought out and very quickly turned to shit, it wasn't necessarily a you know, I mean, I do think he's a cock, but it wasn't necessarily an Elon Musk thing or anything else. It was, oh my God, this is a vile place to be and people are dickheads. And I don't want to, you know, I had all that other stuff and everything else going on in my life. I was like, I'm not being involved in this. And I will give up the however many thousand followers and whatever to not have to look at that shit. And then, you know, there's like Blue Sky's nice right now. It might not be nice tomorrow. MySpace was great, and then that went to shit. Like, these things don't last forever.
So yeah, well, I mean, they're already I mean, social media won't die, but it's going to get less and less what it was in the coming years. They already know that, you know. You know, I was listening to this futurist recently, and it literally, you know, because he was saying, you know, up until very recently, the thing to invest your money in was, you know, the online stuff. You know, people talk about the dot-com bubble bursting. It hasn't really. It just moved on to a different version of .com.
Yeah.
And then he was just saying, but that's over. That's basically over now. What most futurists will tell you to invest in now is medical tech.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, apropos of nothing else other than, you know, you heard it here first, folks. Invest in medical tech.